Hello, welcome. Hi, how are you? Hello, hello. We'll give it just a second and then we'll jump right in. Today's webinar is an Ask Me Anything. So I have just a few things to go over that pop up or have been popping up this week, but I really want to hear from you guys. So you can start even right away. If you have specific things that you want to go over today, add them to the Q&A box at the bottom of your kind of Zoom screen, or you can add them to the chat box. I'll go back and forth, okay? Is it Jean? Is that how you pronounce your name? Jean McDermott? I feel like we've been in communication in so many different forums on the community and even here in webinars, and I say your name differently every time. Let me know in the chat box if Jean is the correct pronunciation, because I hate that I keep messing it up on you. And also, hi, it's nice to see you. Okay, just like 30 more seconds, we'll jump right in. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. It is Jean spelled fancy. Awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad I wasn't too far off. I had a few different versions going there for a while. Well, I'm glad you are here. We're going to get started. As more people join, we'll let them know that they can comment. So again, if you guys have any questions that you came with, please just add those and I'll get to them in the meantime. Two things that have been popping up a lot this week have been outdoor spaces, which makes sense. We're moving into springtime and some of you might be taking on some outdoor porch projects and aren't quite sure how to do that. So let's start there. We're just going to use this little space as an example. This is just like a living room. Let's say we have a porch that comes off of this space. So what you're going to do, and I'll show you how to do a curved balcony as well. But first, let's start with like the assumption that it's just kind of a rectangular shaped porch. Building this out begins in 2D mode. And the reason for that is because we need to build out walls. So in Foyr Neo, joined walls is what tells the software to provide you with a default floor and a default ceiling that you can build off of when you transition into 3D mode. So the first thing that I'm going to do, let's say that the porch comes off of here, is simply grab my wall tool and I'm going to draw out whatever the dimensions for this porch may be. There we go. And I click escape. So now I have my walls, but obviously if I click on this and I click on edit, we can see that my walls for my interior space are 10 feet tall. I don't want 10-foot tall walls for my outdoor porch. So what you're going to do next is select each one of these walls individually where you would need to have railing as opposed to a wall and click on edit like I just did, right? So select, click on edit. And then this is going to bring up wall properties. And what you're going to do is change your height from full wall, which is the default, and you'll see that the changes will apply to the complete floor plan. So if I change this 10 feet to 8 feet, all of the walls in this entire grid and this entire project will lower down to 8 feet. If I change this to partial wall, now the changes will only apply to the selected wall. So that's what you want to do. Change it to partial. And now what I'm going to do is click in this box and I'm just going to enter 0 and I'm going to click enter. And I'm going to do that for all 3 of these walls. So essentially what this is doing is it's providing us with a wall, but it's bringing it down to ground level so that now we can place railing over top. So what we're doing is we still have the default floor. We still have the default ceiling because we still have walls. They're just not blocking our view anymore. We're just bringing them on down. Okay. So then I'm going to click on this wall, click on edit, change it to partial. Don't forget to change it to partial because otherwise you'll be bringing all of the walls in your floor plan down to ground level, which we don't want. We just want these 3. So let's go into 3D mode and I'll show you what this looks like. And there it is. Okay, so you're going to have your auto baseboard here. Just go ahead and select it. and delete it away. This is our default ceiling here that we have. And if you didn't want that, you can apply invisible material, or if you did want it, you could go into the catalog and apply a ceiling design directly to it. So let me just show you what I mean by that.
Rich, we cannot see your screen.
You cannot see my screen right now?
Nope.
Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, could you not see it the entire time?
Can you go back and maybe go through that thing?
Absolutely. I'm so sorry, guys. That was weird. I didn't even get in the chat notifications popping up. Okay, we'll go back. We'll go back. This won't take long. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. I'll keep an eye on this. Okay, you can, okay, perfect. Alrighty, so real quick again, this is our room. We're going to draw walls to define the area of our porch. So I'm going to click on the wall tool and I'm going to draw out where my porch is going to be to the dimensions that I need. Here we go. And what I was just talking about, the next thing that we're going to do is click on each individual wall, select it, click on edit. That's going to bring up wall properties, and then we're going to change it from full wall to partial wall. Enter 0, and then click enter. And that's bringing that wall down to ground level. Okay, so I'm going to do that all 3 times. Partial, 0, click enter. Edit, partial, 0, click enter. Okay. And then where we coming back to where we ended there, we're in 3D mode, and these 3 walls are down at ground level. If they're too thick, you can change the thickness in 2D mode as well. I'll show you that. You can click on this auto baseboard and delete it away. You can drag and drop an outdoor porch texture, whether it be wood or stone, whatever it may be. I'll show you how to do that next. Great question. Okay, and then this is our default ceiling here that we have. For some reason, it's sitting a little bit lower in the space than the total ceiling height. But regardless, if you wanted to have this here, you could go into your catalog and search for ceiling designs. And there are some nice ceiling designs that would work in an outdoor space. And drag and drop it, and it will stick the same way any other would. Let's try and find a nice example here. I've used this before, which is nice. And then you can just resize it. Or you can apply invisible material, and that is from the texture catalog itself. Okay. So just an example there. Or we can go into textures and look up invisible material. It looks just like this. Anytime I start a new project, I go into my texture catalog and I save this by clicking on the heart to my short list. So it will live here because there's always a use for it. So then you just drag and drop. And even though we can still kind of see the outline of this here in 3D mode, when I actually take a render, this will not render at all. Okay, this is a really handy tool. And if you've never used invisible material, let me know in the chat and we can go into a few different applications for that as well. Okay, so now I can go into my catalog, I can look up railing, and I can drag and drop railing to the wall and then resize it around the space. So like I said, if these walls are too thick, which they're pretty thick right now because the default is 9.6 inches, we can make those thinner in 2D mode. I'll show you that in a second. Or you can just apply the same texture that you apply here to here. So let's say I go to copy texture material. I can just apply it and kind of extend this outward. There we go. Okay. If you wanted to change the thickness, you would go back into 2D mode, click on the wall, and then these 2 arrows are how in Foyr 2.0 we adjust the thickness. It's a little bit different in the older version. So you're simply going to click once to kind of claim that arrow. And now I'm not holding down my click. I'm just moving my mouse in to make the wall skinnier. And then I can pull it in from the outside as well if I want. Okay. Let's say you wanted to work in a space. Let's say you wanted like a round balcony. I'm going to delete this. This is where I would actually recommend one of two things. You can use in the catalog something called geometrics. Great questions, guys. I'll just show you this one quick thing and then we'll jump right into your questions. So if you type in geometrics, a number of different shapes are going to appear here. They dock to different planes. So you'll have geometrics that dock to the ceiling, the wall, or the floor. Here's a great example of something that we could use for a balcony. So this is a ceiling docked shape, but I can always throw it into free movement and bring it down. So I'm going to try and dock it to the ceiling here. Let's go inside the space. I'll dock this here. You'll see it turns green. And now what I can do is select it, put it into free movement, and that's going to give me arrows to move it in all directions. So now I can bring it down. I can bring it outside my space. And then what I need to do is rotate it. So this flat edge is flat against this wall. That's a 180-degree rotation. So rather than using the rotate tool, which I could, and I could use this green arrow and rotate it manually, what I'm actually going to do that's faster is I'm going to go to edit and I'm going to click on flip down here, vertical flip. What that should do, or horizontal flip in this case, depending on the orientation of the item, is it will flip it that 180. So vertical flip, you're not seeing because it's actually flipping it side to side, which normally that would be the horizontal, but for this shape, the horizontal is front to back. Okay, so now it's facing the right direction. I don't have to waste time trying to get my rotation perfect. Let's say my balcony starts up here, and now all I need to do is a simple resize. We do have curved railing for balconies like this that can be resized and fit against here, and then you simply drag and drop a texture to apply it. Okay, let me know if that makes sense, if you guys have any questions about this particular tutorial. Okay, let's get into the questions that you guys are asking now because they're great. So the first question is, how do I adjust camera height in render mode? It looks complicated. Okay, let's talk about camera height. This is actually one of the things that's come up for walkthroughs, but it applies for both. So here we are in render mode. Camera height has to do, so for a render, it's simply a matter of activating your pan tool to move upward. And how you do that is in two different ways. You do recommend using a mouse for this software if you're not already, and then you're just going to hold down your right click as opposed to your left click. And you'll see as I do that, now I can move up and down, side to side, using my right click. If I'm using my left click, that's what orbits me around the space, right? And then if I want to look up, I'm angled looking up or I'm angled looking down, which doesn't always give the greatest view. If you want to just go straight up, that's where you activate that pan tool. You can also manually activate the pan tool, and that's this hand here. This is available in render mode and in 3D mode. So you can click, and then holding down your left click, you can move this around, but I find it's easier to just hold down the right click so that you don't have to click this on and off back and forth. Okay, so simply raise it up, and then if I took a render, I would be up here. Let me know if that answers your question. In the walkthrough feature, so one question that's popped up several times is I have a multi-level home. So say this was actually a 2-story home that a person has created. And when I go into the walkthrough feature, I can place cameras around the space, but they're all sitting on the first floor. And how do I move them up to the second floor is the question, right? So the answer to that is right now, that's not something that you can do in the software yourself, but all you have to do is copy your link, your URL project link, and then reach out to customer support here and explain that you need the team to process a walkthrough that goes through both stories for you. And the team at Foyr will actually go into your project from the back end and make that possible for you. And the turnaround is just a couple of days. So to answer that question, do reach out to them for now. That is a feature that will be available in future versions of the software, but for now, the team can take care of it for you as a little bit of an in-between while you wait for that feature, okay? Okay. Let me just go in sequential order so that I don't miss anything. How can I design a lighting plan? Great question. Let's go back to 3D mode. So for your lighting plan, there's a few different ways that you can do this. We can start in 2D. And you can transition from floor plan mode, where we can see all of our floor docked items, to ceiling plan mode from this dropdown. So when you click on ceiling plan mode, now what you're going to be doing is you can drag and drop lights to the ceiling, right? Or any ceiling design, whatever you may have. So let's say we're looking for recessed lighting. Find what we need. I'm going to use this one because it's a bit bigger. Or let me try this one. Yeah, that's the one. That's a better view. Okay, let's delete that. So you can drag and drop into ceiling plan mode and lay these out. You can use the ruler tool to make sure that they're spaced appropriately. So if your recessed light, this is my ruler tool right here, my recessed light needs to be out, say 2 feet from this wall. I can enter that. Oops, I was running on a diagonal there. Let's try that again. I can enter 2 feet. There we go. And then I can do whatever it needs to be from this wall. So we'll just say 2 by 2. And let me undo that. I keep running on a diagonal. There we go. Okay. And then we can move this into place. Another way to do this is with guidelines in 3D mode. And I think that would be easier. And then you can group, so you could get a few of these lined up in the spacing that they need to be, and then you can group all of them, and then you can clone them and work them into the guidelines. So I just want you to know that this is an option in 2D mode. For recessed lighting, probably not the best option because there's so many of them. But if you simply needed to center a chandelier on a ceiling with a few recessed lights around, this could be a good option for you. Let's go into 3D and I'll show you how to use guidelines on your ceiling. Zoom on in here. There we go. I'm going to activate my pan tool. And I'm just going to angle myself so that I'm looking up at the ceiling. Okay. So using the guidelines tool, this is really where that tool shines. It's available right here. It also looks like a ruler. And when you click, it's going to ask you to find an edge. There we are. I was just a little too far away, so I had to zoom in there. And then when you click, you can pull this out and set it to whatever it needs to be set to. So say we set that 2 feet. There we go. And then I can keep moving. We can say 4 feet. And this is measuring, this current number is measuring from the initial space because I haven't clicked on the line. So let me show you the difference. You see how as I move this, let me know if this is not making sense. It's saying 6 foot, 2.81. That's from this initial starting point, not from the last line. If I click escape, and now I click on this last line, now it's going to tell me the distance from that line. So whatever is easiest for you, if you want to just go from, the far left and move out, or if you want to go from the previous line and move it out in the increments that you need, you have both options, okay? All right, so let's just do this side of the ceiling for time's sake, and then I will do the same coming down. So let's say the recessed lights need to be every 2 feet and then every 4 feet from this edge. I'm going to click on the edge, pull it out, and type in 4 feet. And then this will be 8 feet, and so on. Okay. Okay, so let's just start with that. So now that I've created these guidelines, what's really nice is, assuming I have object snapping on, which I do, perfect. Now I can drag and drop that recessed light here, and it's actually going to snap into this corner for me. So I don't have to worry about, am I lining it up with those lines nicely? The software is just going to do it for me. You just want to make sure that object snapping here under your settings is turned on. The default is that it will be turned on, but sometimes it's useful to turn object snapping off. If you do that, and then you go to use guidelines and you want it to snap, it won't snap for you because you've told it you don't want it to snap. So just check that first, okay? So now I'm going to do that. Let's say we do that. Clone it once more. All right. Now I don't have to keep cloning. I don't have to keep cloning one by one. I can group these 3, and then I can clone that. And then I can group the 6 together and clone that and move really fast. So I'm going to click on this first one. I'm on a MacBook, so I'm going to hold down the Command key. If you're on a PC, you're going to hold down Control. Okay, so I'm going to hold down Command, and I'm going to click 1, 2, 3. You'll see that they all highlight green, and then the option to group products appears here. So that's group. And now I can clone them. So now I've cloned the group. I can move that. And the best part about this new grouping feature on 2.0 is that now I can group, I can continue to add on to this group. So again, I'm just going to hold down my Command. I'm going to click, click, and click. And now what I should be able to do is group all of these together. Let's see if that moves together. Perfect. Now I can clone this. And do you see how fast that is, or how fast that becomes? So for your lighting plan, guidelines is a really nice option. It's super precise. You can group and clone light fixtures like this, like recessed lighting, so that you're not doing, one by one, and it's super accurate. So once you have this done here, go back into 2D mode if you need to actually provide like a lighting floor plan or a lighting plan. You can do that from Export Floor Plan. So you're going to click here. And we are going to transition again from floor plan mode to ceiling plan mode. And now we can see our recessed lighting. If any of these furnishings are in the way, you can click on hide. All of these will highlight and you can hide them away. Or you can go to hide layer and just say hide all furniture. Although that hides the light. Okay, so we would just want to click there. And then anything that's green that you want to get rid of, just go ahead and click on it. Okay, I'm going to click on that tool again. And here's our recessed light, and that's our chandelier. So from here, if you've never used Export Floor Plan, let me just quickly show you. We're just going to crop out most of the excess space here. That's important because otherwise, when you go to export, this will be really, really tiny because of all that extra kind of white space around. You can indicate what the wall material is. You can add elements if you need to indicate the north facing wall or any lines or geometrics. And then you can add text simply like that to label the room or the fixtures. If you click here, you can go to edit and edit the size and the font and all of that for your text, okay? We actually have an entire webinar just on the Export Floor Plan tool, which is on our YouTube channel, okay? And then from here, you can click on Export Now, or you can download it as a DXF. So DXF will upload into like AutoCAD and Revit. Export now will export this. It's going to take you to another page first, but it's going to export it as a PDF. So from this page to the left here, you can give your floor plan a title, and that will change here. So you can say lighting plan. Click on enter, and there it is. Indicate what paper size you need it to be printed on, if it needs to be landscape or portrait. And then you can edit your company details by clicking here and entering that information. And then this will be saved so that you're not re-entering that every time. And then you click download, and that will download as a PDF for you. And then you have your lighting plan. Okay. Alrighty, let's go back. I'm going to exit. Okay, please do keep me updated. If I'm answering your questions, let me know. If you're more confused than before, also let me know. Okay, Sunny is asking, is there any way to cut/trim material from the catalog? For instance, the railing, because certain items, if resized, the resulting proportion will look odd. Understood. Okay. Great question. And the answer is yes and no. Okay, so let's use one example that comes up a lot is our chandeliers. So say you are hanging a chandelier and like the chain is super long. Let's find a good example. And you go to shorten the chain, but then it kind of squishes the actual fixture, and that's frustrating. There's a little bit of a workaround that I can show you. Let me try and find one that might be a good example. Let's see. That's okay. We can still use this, even though this one isn't exceptionally long compared to the height of these walls here. There are some that are very long, I will admit. Okay. So the example is here. I'm going to delete this. Let's say we want to shorten this chain. We go to resize. And it does that, and it affects the actual look of the chandelier. Go ahead and just get the chandelier to the size that you actually want the fixture to be. And then what you can do is go into the catalog here. If you look up chandelier, it will come up if you scroll down, but let's look up chain. Here we are. So we have chandelier chain and chain, two different options. I'll drag and drop both so you can see them. Two different styles here. One has this nice base and the other does not. So what you can do now is you can resize this to the length that you need it to be. And then over here, we're going to grab our invisible material, and I'm hoping that it only applies it to the chain. Let's drag and drop and see. There we go. Okay, so it's applied it to the base there. And then I probably need to, oh, and it's applied it to the chain here. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to back up. Now what you could do is grab this. Let's delete that out of the way. Put the chandelier into free movement. And then you would just work it down and have it hanging from the base of your new chain. And know that even though you can see the outline, there we go, perfect, of this base here in 3D mode, it will not render if invisible material has been applied to it. Okay, so that's the workaround that I recommend for lighting fixtures when it gets kind of wonky. Invisible material is useful in that way, and that it can hide certain aspects of it so that you can kind of piece together different options. And of course, you can hold down your command or your control key and group this so that you're not moving the chain and the chandelier separately if you move it around the space. Now we'll just move it as one group. And there we are. Okay. As for trimming items, the answer is no, really. We can't. So if I wanted to, let me find a good example in this room. There's not really a lot of good examples in this particular space, but I do understand what you mean. If I wanted to actually change the style of this lamp, I can't do that. I can't shave parts off. I can't cut a sofa in half, things like that. I can apply invisible material to different planes, or you could do a custom build and create new product. Or if you need a very specific piece and you're not finding it at all in the catalog, you do have two options for model uploads. The first is that you can go to your catalog and go to My Models, and you can submit a model request. This does require model credits, which you can purchase from your dashboard. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But what you would need here, you'll see I have several examples. You need a picture of the product, whatever it may be. So just take a snapshot on your computer of the furniture piece, and then you're going to submit a new request. It's going to ask for that picture, and then it's going to ask, I'll walk you through it. It's going to ask you to specify the dimensions. So this is just artwork, but let's say we wanted to upload this artwork, even though I could just do this as a custom texture. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm simply going to click. I'm going to enter the name of the product. And then I'm going to enter the width, length, and height in dimensions. So maybe it needs to be 8 by 10. So my height will be 10. And then my length will be, say 0.01 feet. I can add any descriptors here as notes to the team, and then click done. And then it's going to tell me how many model credits this is going to use. So it's just one model credit. And then I can click on submit. And then the product team at Foyr will build out this piece for you and add it to the catalog. You will get an email when it is ready for you. And also, let me click cancel. It will show here in your model request. If you go to catalog, you'll see my requests. If anything is still pending, it will say pending. These all say closed because I've received them. And then you can go to my models and you can drag and drop anything into the space. Oh, I'm in ceiling plan mode, sure. Okay. So that's option number one. That does use model credits, which you do have to purchase. Option number two doesn't use any credits, but you do have to have access to the OBJ file of the furniture piece. So how you do that is you save the OBJ to your computer, and then you upload it here from your uploads folder. They will upload without any textures applied to them, as you can see here. This is free, like I said, and then you can drag and drop it into your space. And this uploads folder is available across all of your projects. So it's, it's not specific to the project that you uploaded the piece into. So if you're looking for OBJ files, the website that I use is called Polantis. I will type it in the chat box. It's not connected with Foyr in any way. It's just a safe site. It's free to make an account, and most of the uploads or the model credits, the models are totally free. So it's just a nice option for you guys. Some coworkers of mine also use Turbo Squid, which has 3D OBJ files as well. Okay. It's a funny name, but there you go. Polantis and Turbo Squid. Alrighty, next question. These are good questions today. I like this. Alrighty, is there a way to scale a railing to the area you want to cover? Oh, same question as above. Okay. So if you find that like your railing, you're trying to make it longer, and then like the actual pieces are separating really far, what I recommend doing is cloning, and you can even overlap. So let me show you that real quick. I'm just going to show you inside the space. So some things that I've done, let's use this railing as an example. I'm just going to drag and drop it in. It's really bothering me that that wall is not colored. I'm gonna have to fix that in a second. All right, let's move this out here. Okay, so to your point, if I resize this and make it smaller, all of those pieces get closer together and vice versa. If I make it longer, they get farther apart. So what I would say is get one piece to accurately represent what you want the railing to look like, and then clone it. And what you can even do once you've cloned it is, say it doesn't need to cover this whole space, you can overlap it and then just work it in. So there we go. Kind of push it in, and then you can work it that way. Some pieces, depending, you might be able to apply invisible material to some of it, but that is really kind of on a case by case. So let's just see what applies. So this applies it to all of them and just not the top and bottom. So not the best solution there, but you can overlap and kind of hide one within the other. Just like that, okay? Let me delete this out of the way. Okay, let's say, been some time, can I access our old projects in the new version? So this migration is coming, just hasn't happened yet, but we should have that this month. Let me exit out of that so you can view all projects. So it will tell you here, this is V2, that's referring to Foyr 2.0, and this is still V1 here. So these projects have not yet been migrated. When they are, this will change to V2 as well. And that will indicate to you that you will have access to those tools. So that is coming. Do thank you for your patience, but it will be here soon. Okay. Okay. Thanks, you guys, for answering each other's questions. The answer is no. Yes, unfortunately, it's coming soon. Okay. Awesome, great questions. Okay, there's something popping up in the Q&A. All right, Jennifer Hudson, it says how to design a lighting plan. I think I answered that. Was that you from earlier as well? If not, if you didn't see the lighting plan tutorial that I just gave, oh, it was a different person asking the same question. Interesting. So Jennifer, let me know in the chat box if you saw that. Sunny is asking, how do I change the output lighting color of any light fixtures within the catalog? Awesome question. For example, white light only. Yes. This is something you can do. So let's get into it. So that's going to be from your texture catalog, and we have light, and we have different types of light. So in your texture catalog, just search for light. And here you are. So say you wanted all of your light fixtures to have warm light, because I do know that if you take a render preview, so let's use these recessed lights as an example. You don't necessarily want the chandelier to be white light, the tables to be warm light. You want it to be consistent for your space. So you can click here, and then you can actually just apply, because these are cloned, it will apply to all of them. You can apply warm light rather than white light, and vice versa. You can also do this. What's really cool, let me see if I have any wall sconces in here. If not, I'll just drag one in. Okay, here's one. You can apply this light texture to like the inside. So sometimes when you look inside a lamp shade or a wall sconce like this, you will see a light bulb, and then you can just drag and drop the texture to the light bulb and it will just do that. Other times you can apply it to the inside of the shade, and then when you render, it just looks like the light is turned on, okay? So I can just drag and drop, and now that light is applied there. Cool. Okay, and I can give you a little render preview if you want to see what that looks like, but that's a nice little added detail. Okay, I think we're good on the questions so far. If you have any more, keep them coming. If anything didn't make sense, let me know. And then, okay, so we went over the 2-story walkthroughs that you should talk to customer support about getting that done if you want a 2-story walkthrough. We talked about our OBJ files. I'm glad you guys asked that question because it was on my list too. And we talked about outdoor spaces for porches, but let's talk about outdoor landscapes. I'm going to hide these guidelines by going to settings because these lines are bothering me. So I'm going to go to guidelines and I'm going to turn this off. And there we go. We're not having to look at it. So from the catalog again, if you just go there and then click on outdoor, we have so many different options for landscapes. We have rocks, trees, you name it. But there's also a lot that we can do from the texture catalog. We just need a physical surface to apply it to, right? So I find that the best landscapes come from using a combination of the actual catalog, the outdoor catalog, and the texture catalog with Create New Product. So I'll show you how to do that. Sorry, I'm just reading a question that just popped up from Sunny. What if this won't work? Previously, I encountered this issue. Customer service brought me through these steps you shared too, but it didn't work. Okay, so you tried to apply a light texture to a light fixture and the texture wasn't applying at all, or it was applying in 3D and then not rendering properly. Just let me know which it was. Okay. So in the meantime, while Sunny is answering that question, let's talk about outdoor landscapes. So let's say this is a house. I want to show it from the outside. I want to do some landscaping. You can, what I see a lot of designers doing is using geometric. So using like a floor docked cube. Like this guy, dragging and dropping it. Well, let's use a wall docked cube so we can just work from the outside. Dragging and dropping it, resizing it to make it flat, and then kind of working it around the space or underneath the space. But what this ends up doing is maybe we have grass, maybe we have sidewalk, maybe we have road. And what we're doing is we're resizing multiple cubes over and over again, which is time consuming, and then applying textures to each, different textures to each one. And it just becomes kind of like piecemeal. You're piecing a bunch of little things together, just gets a little chaotic, and you're trying to make sure that the seams are matched up. I don't recommend doing outdoor landscapes with geometrics. What I recommend is using Create New Product. I'm going to get this nice top-down view here to start. And I'm going to click on Create New Product. My mouse wants to move in the opposite direction today. There we go. Okay, so you can draw on the floor. You can draw on the ceiling. Totally up to you. I'm going to draw on the ceiling just because it's not so busy up here. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, and the first thing that I'm going to do is just click on the edge, and I'm just going to cover this space here. And then I'm going to grab push pull, rotate to the side here. You'll see as I hover, it highlights blue, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of an edge right now. And the reason that I do that is because this is going to now allow me to resize this shape. So when I click on this edge, now I can move it beyond the edge of the house, right? In theory, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, and what we'll do in a second, I'm just gonna extend this, and then what we'll do is we'll click on done, we'll go back into 3D, and we will put it into free movement and bring it on down to underneath the house. Okay, let's click on done for now. You can also just resize this in 3D mode because it's just a simple shape. That's just object snapping, highlighting blue, wanting to help me out. It gets frustrating if things are snapping and you want to have total control. Feel free to turn object snapping off under the file and settings like I showed you earlier. So here we are. Now it's under there. I'm going to click on resize now and just bring it on out. Either or. And then we can specify different areas by going back into Create New Product. So let's say we need to have a road here. Maybe we need to have a sidewalk, and then the rest needs to be the actual lawn with grass. click on the product that we've just created and then click on modify. And it hides the house. I want to see the house because I need that as a frame of reference. So I'm going to go down here to hide environment and I'm going to do unhide environment to bring that house back. And now what we're going to do, we're back and create new product, right? I'm going to use the pen tool to define where the road is, where the sidewalk is, and we'll go from there. So grab my pen tool. I'm going to click on this edge. I'm going to bring this out. Click escape. That'll be my road. And then a little bit of a sidewalk. Okay. Whoop. Try that again. There we go. Okay, now I can click on done again. And now what I can do is go into my texture catalog. I'm going to delete that search and I'm going to go to other. And under other, we have ground, liquid, roofing, all sorts of stuff for the outside environment. So I'm going to click on ground real quick. You'll see we have sand, moss, grass, and we have road. So I'm going to drag and drop the road. There we are. I'm going to drag and drop our grass over here. I'm going to increase the number of tiles because that doesn't look, it's a little too big. Those blades of grass are gigantic. There we go. That looks better. And then lastly, I'll apply concrete here. So maybe I'll just lift that up here. Oh, it's not under other. There we go. And then there's a million different concrete options for you to choose from. I'll just drag and drop this one for now. And increase that, okay? Then what you could do is go back into your catalog, go to the outdoor section, and you can drag and drop things like trees. You can look up fencing. You could add in all sorts of options, right? There's outdoor furniture and lighting. There's mailboxes, everything that you could possibly need, right? Flowers. There are, if you go search for both botanical, you can add something that looks like window boxes, all different options, okay? And you can, of course, resize these in the same way that you would anything else from the catalog. So do this. Don't piece together 3 different squares. Just use create new product and define the different areas, and then you can apply different textures to those different areas. Okay, we have time for like 1 or 2 questions. Sunny, let's see what you said. In 3D, it worked. In render mode, it didn't come out. Okay, so that does sound like a technical issue and not, it's not related to the light texture. It sounds like there was something going on. So anytime that you're having some issues with textures in particular, I find that doing an empty cache and hard reload of your page is what does the trick. So I'll show you guys what that looks like right now, since we have a few extra minutes. From your screen, from your project, you're going to go to these 3 circles in the top right-hand corner of your screen. You're going to click there and you're going to go down to more tools. And then you're going to go down to developer tools. That's going to bring up this little coded window box here. Don't get nervous about that. You're not actually going to be working in it. You just need to have that brought up. And then you're going to go over to your refresh button. And instead of left clicking, you're going to right click. And that's going to bring up this window. And then what you'll select is empty cache and hard reload. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm afraid that it might end our call accidentally, and I don't want that to happen. You click on empty cache and hard reload, and that's just going to reload your page. And basically, if there are any errors in the software happening here, it's kind of like it cleans the slate and refreshes that. So then what I would recommend is maybe just reapply the texture. Once this fully reloads, you can refresh the page. You can close out of the project and reopen it if you want. You don't usually have to do that. And then it should work. Take a render preview and see if it works. Beyond that, did you take the actual render or did you just take the render preview? Let me know, because sometimes the issue is the render preview and not the render itself. Awesome. Yeah, definitely give it a try. Okay. one more, the actual render came out that way. Okay, so that's definitely a technical issue, and try the empty cache and hard reload, and that should help you. So one more question that we have time for: how do I accurately apply 60 by 60 tile texture showing the grouting lines, referring to custom texture uploaded by myself? Okay. How do I accurately apply 60 by 60 tile texture showing the grouting lines? So for this, I would almost recommend using Create New Product to build a small section of that tile. So maybe from, it's just like the top part of the wall, and just from one edge to the next. You don't have to do all of the tile for all of, for the whole wall. And then you can just clone that. Let me show you that real quick. We'll do it on the outside wall here. So nothing's in our way. And what's nice about that is that then you can choose the grout color as well. So if I click on Create New Product, mastering Create New Product is just a game changer. So if that's something, when I first started using the software, I was very afraid of this tool and kind of shied away from it. But once you learn this tool, there's just so many applications, and it really does make your life easier. So give it a try. Let's say this whole wall needed to be tile. Click on the rectangle tool, and what we're going to do is let's just say we want to do 2 lines worth. So I'm just going to cover a small sliver up top here. And now if my brain, I have to kind of plan this out a little bit. Let's grab our pen tool. You can of course use your ruler tool to map out the specific size of the tile. So you can click on ruler, bring this down, and then bring it out from here, just like we did with the ruler tool or guidelines in 3D mode. Works the same way. If you just grab your pen tool, this will lock you into the midpoint and tell you where that is, so you don't have to figure that out yourself. So let's just say we're going to be cutting this in half and looking at our midpoint. And what you could do, let's say our tile needs to come out 2 feet. Set that. I actually don't like the way that looks. So let's say it needs to come out 3 feet, a little bit longer. Okay, feel better about that. And we're just going to now cover that ruler line. That's just our guide for keeping, our dimensions correct. Now I'm going to grab my pen tool and draw over it to really signify that this is the piece. Now what I can do is grab offset, which is a tool that gives borders to any shape that I'm working within. It doesn't have to be a simple shape like a rectangle. So if I click on that, I'm just clicking once and moving my mouse out. Now, as I move, this is telling me how many inches. So I'm 1.12 inches from the outer border. Maybe I make that really, really skinny because I just want it to be a little line for grout. So we're at 0.46. Right? And now I have essentially one tile with grout around it. I'm going to click on trim and just get rid of that guideline because I don't want it kind of in my way right now. And then if you needed these to be offset, what you would do is just continue to draw out your tiles up top here. So I'll do one more. Sometimes these are like a little bit of a brain game when you're doing custom tiling and you're creating it yourself. Draw out that line, do offset again. We now know it was 0.46, so I can just type in 0.46, click enter so that it's consistent. And then what we can do here is just offset this to the bottom, if that makes sense. So what I should be able to do here is run this along the edge and find the midpoint. I'm going to find the midpoint, bring it on down, and then click on my ruler. And from here, bring that out 4 feet. And now I have offset subway tile or staggered subway tile. And I'm going to use the offset tool to create that and create that. So I'm going to stop here just because we are low on time, but do you see how this is starting to kind of shape up into tile? Now what I can do, I'm going to zoom on in, is I can go to my texture catalog. I can apply a texture, if I could spell, there we go, to the actual tile itself. So let's just say it's going to be ceramic, or whatever this marble is. And then I can apply a grout color. So it needs to be charcoal. You can click on that and apply that here. Oops. Okay. And maybe a little time intensive at the start, but once you get this small section done, you just have to clone it. And you know, you don't have to do the whole wall. So now we have a specific grout color, we have our grout lines, and we have staggered tile. Let me know if that helps. Okay. Alrighty, guys, let's see. Okay, Sunny, let me know if that helped you. Beatrice, hey, Beatrice, long time no see, virtually see. Very anxious about using the create new product tool, but I have made use of it on my last project. Awesome. And I loved it. Still some things to master, but great and well done. Okay, great. Thanks so much. I missed the bit about lengthening and shortening the pendant chain. Okay, I'll quickly show you that again. And then we're just going to be out of time. If you guys do have more questions, we will be doing these Ask Me Anything webinars every other week, but also my email address is Rachel, RACHEL @foyr.com. So if something comes up and it's pressing, please just let me know. Okay. Real quick, look up chain in the catalog. So this, and then you'll have two options here. We've got this guy and we've got this guy. Where are we? Let's, and again, there we go. And this one. So what's nice about these, they're just lone chains, so you can resize this. And that way you're not resizing the entire chandelier, which can mess with the proportions of the actual fixture as you're trying to just lengthen chain, right? So this is just a little workaround. So let's say we drag and drop this into the space. And I don't want to warp this fixture here by lengthening this. So what I'm going to do is grab my invisible material, which lives in the texture catalog and is a super handy tool. Looks like this. I'm going to apply it to the existing chain or mount. And then I'm going to grab this, put it into free movement and bring it down to the base of my singular chain. And even though we can see the outline, the outline of the original, base, that's just in 3D mode. When you render, you won't see that, okay? So you can position this as needed, and then you're gonna hold, I'm on a MacBook, so you're gonna hold down Command. If you're on a PC, you hold down Control. I've already selected this, Command, click on that, and now I can group it so that I can group this as one fixture. There we go. Okay. All righty, no problem, Beatrice. Okay, guys, those were like some of the best questions I've gotten on one of these. Well done. I hope that this was useful to you all. We are right at the end of our time. So again, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll just type that quickly. Rachel@foyr.com. I am available. And in the meantime, I will see you guys in 2 weeks on another Ask Me Anything. Do visit the community. I'm on there every day. So if you have questions, you can post them to the community wall. It's community.foyr.com. Make an account, and then you can just add #ask-a-question. And if I don't have the answer, I know somebody who does have an answer for you, so I can direct you to whoever has the best answer for you. All right. Alrighty, guys, I'll see you next week. Bye.